Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the April edition of Staying Mission Driven. We're lucky today to have Gerald Steffen on our call, and I'll introduce him more specifically in a minute, but I wanted to go through a couple of announcements. So last month we had Craig Lawrence on the call, and he talked to us about HortSense. I think that was last month. And the updates to HortSense. And there was a couple people that asked about having revision update dates added. And so he was able to make that happen. And he can pull a report now. And it sounds like we will also be able, like our clinicians will be able to pull that report. So maybe once a year, we'll look at the updates that have happened, and we will know which fact sheets to pull out of our printed, if we're still using printed versions of the fact sheets. So it'll make it much easier for us to manage the update fact sheets on HortSense. So thanks to Craig for making that happen. I know, it's really great news. Yeah, yep. And it was Craig and then a couple of people out of the pesticide resource and education program that made that happen. So great news. I also want to say that I'm gonna skip down on the agenda. If you're looking at the agenda to number 3 now, the commemorative magazine that was a labor of love for many of us is now available for purchase. I will put a link in the chat for you, but I want to show you the page where you can do that. Share my screen real quick. So I am on our homepage of our Master Gardener website, and you can, couple of spots, you can click on it here, or Debbie's got it down here. So I'll click into here, and this is kind of a sneak peek. This is the cover, and you can kind of see what the inside looks like. And here is where you can buy now. If you want to buy it, have it shipped to you. As a county, if you want to get yourselves organized and you buy more than 10 magazines, you can get 10% off your order. That helps us. It's Debbie and the Chelan County Master Gardeners are shipping these out. So if you want to have more than 10, then you can take advantage of that 10% off. These magazines will also be available at the regional events to buy in person and at the Advanced Education Conference in Tacoma. They're beautiful. They're gorgeous magazines. The paperweight is really nice. If you haven't seen it or held it in person, I think you'll be happy with it when you order it. We have the event coming up in Prosser on May 20th. So if you we're about to send out press releases for that and kind of giving some more information. So if you haven't registered for that event yet to get your free ticket, be on the lookout for the link to register for that event. And then in June 10th is at the Tree Fruit Research and Extension Center in Wenatchee. And then in July up at NREC, the Northwestern Research and Extension Center. And then we'll culminate in September at the conference. And so the conference registration opens on May 1st. Right, Debbie? Okay. I said that out loud and I was like, opens on May 1st, but you can reserve your hotel room now using if you go to the website, the link for the hotel reservations is live. Any questions about, Debbie put the link in the chat for the magazine. Debbie, would you please put the link for the conference in too?
Yes, I'm
great. Thank you.
Pulling that up.
Okay, terrific. Any questions on either the magazine or the events? Well, I also want to mention that during Cougs Give, we, as a Master Gardener program, added $9,400 to our Endowed Chair campaign, thanks to the generosity of Master Gardener volunteers and friends of Master Gardener volunteers. So that is great news. We had 64 donations, totaling $9,400. Yeah, way to go. All right. So now I want to turn it over to Gerald Steffen, who is with WSU Connors Communications, and he's their graphics manager, design manager. Gerald, thanks for being here this morning. I'll let you finish your introduction.
Hi, yeah, I'll get into when I get into the presentation. I see some faces that were here yesterday, so consider, half-hour coffee break. You don't have to listen to this time, I don't think. But we'll go over it again, and it's a lot to take in, but hopefully you get a little bit of information regarding branding. So I will throw my presentation up and share screen.
Repetition is the best teacher. That is so true.
Okay. What do we got? We got full screen.
We're good. Yep.
Okay. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about WSU Branding Essentials. We're going to cover a lot of things today that may or may not pertain directly to you, but it's good to know. It's good background knowledge for anybody who is going to do anything really public facing or create materials that are going to be used for the public. So about me, I'm the creative manager of Connors Marketing and Communications. In that role, I supervise our video team, Daryl and Matt, who probably a lot of you have met. We have another graphic designer, Nikki, and I also oversee our publications, extension publication fulfillment, warehouse operations. I also do most of the design for Connors and Extension, the brand manager for Connors and Extension, and I am your consultant and resource for all things branding or design. I'm a proud Cougar with a master's degree in fine arts from 1995. Been with WSU for 27 years, and I was on the brand advisory committee, so I saw the rebrand from the inception through the whole creative process into implementation. So today's presentation, I'm going to cover our brand, and I call it our brand because it's WSU brand, and we're all part of WSU, whether we like to think so or not. And I'll cover those sub things as well, rationale behind the brand, the importance of the brand, and some Master Gardener branding. I'll discuss the brand elements and how you can find them, a little bit how you can use them. I'll show a few examples, not always Master Gardener related, but just a few examples of how you can implement some of the brand design tools. And unfortunately, what I don't have time for today is to talk about specific layout and design techniques, individual applications or tools, or how-to lessons. But that could be a possibility for things in the future if it gets identified as a small group of people who want to do more, or are heavily engaged with the things that I kind of specialize in, then we can consider that. Oh, that was going fast. My mouse is crazy this morning. So the WSU rebrand was implemented in September 2021. So if you're just hearing about it, you're a little bit behind the curve, but it hasn't been overly pushed from the standpoint that it is an evolution, not a revolution. And simply what that means is we're not throwing anything away to implement this new design system. The easiest things to change have been on the web. So it's sort of a web first implementation. And if you come to WSU Pullman tomorrow, you'll still see signage with the shield, and you'll still see everything as it was prior to the implementation. And as things wear out and fade, and they'll get replaced. So it's the first update in 7 years. 2014 was the last one. So that's quite a long time without any kind of update. And between 2014 and 2021, the nature of the university changed. So the rebrand was sort of to recalibrate where we wanted to be in terms of marketing the university. And what I'm going to talk about today is important for everybody to know about, because we all are the brand, and we all represent the brand, and volunteers who get out in front of the public are the brand. They represent Master Gardeners directly and WSU indirectly. I'll talk about more in a second. So the rationale behind the rebrand was WSU over that 7-year period had expanded to become a statewide system. We've got branch campuses in Spokane, Tri-Cities, Vancouver, Global Campus, and Everett. Web first delivery, probably about 80% of the way we talk to students is through the internet, whether it's social media, online, email blasts, and that's how they consume information as well. So we had to move in that direction. There was extensive logo and design creep. The previous logo system allowed for anybody and everybody on campus to have the opportunity to have their own logo. And I've probably, within my own collection of those logos, created probably 200 to 300 logos for extension, Connors, departments, as well as there were so many choices that people glommed onto particular choices, and we sort of lost the script. We lost Crimson and Gray, and we sort of lost our path. So that was a good time to reevaluate that. And the new brand revision puts priority on place over program. Because we're identified now as a system, the broader focus is on where you're at instead of the programs you deliver at those locations. So that kind of created a broader overview of thinking and less siloing. People should be more connected to their county, their extension, the university than they are to a particular program. It's difficult to say because you're all in a program and your focus is very narrow. But again, think larger, think broader, think university. Brand up when available, meaning it's not wrong anymore to use a WSU logo, then use an extension logo, use a county logo. We want to make sure all the right things are out there. So one of the things you may hear across the messaging from the president's office or anything, 6 campuses, 1 WSU is sort of a slogan that's kind of informally kicking around. And just so you can become aware of where those locations are. Here's a little map. Global Campus is just, it's everywhere. It's just a little satellite floating. It's not really in that county. It's just, it covers everywhere in the world. So, but in the state of Washington, those are our campuses. So why is branding important? So when I can go around the state, I get to spot bad examples of branding that people try, sometimes they don't have all the correct tools. And I spotted this painting that somebody did on a bench in Colville. It may or may not still be there. This was a number of years ago, but they gave it a shot. But we need to control how what we present gets across. To me, that this doesn't present. It's kind of homespun, but it doesn't present the sort of professional, high quality image that we want to do. So the reasons for branding and why they're important is to have a similarity across the WSU system. Visuals, messaging, and goals should all match. Enhanced institutional credibility, meaning that, sort of strength in numbers. We have all these places where great things are done. If the medical school is doing great, you can talk about that. If some other great research is being done in Vancouver, you can talk about that. So the system-wide approach kind of raises all ships. Differentiate yourself from competing institutions. That one's pretty obvious. And improve funding opportunities. Again, as a system, if the medical school gets money, that helps the university as a whole with their presence, with their branding, with their all these things that go into branding. Who oversees branding at the university? The central marketing and communications units would be your first line of defense. The WSU Office of Trademark and Licensing is sort of our legal arm, followed by the Attorney General. So branding is important. It does make money, and it is a reputation tool that should not be diminished or overlooked. And then there's me. And finally, there's everybody on this call today, and departments and units, and right down to the volunteers. Everybody needs to be aware of what is and isn't correct branding, or proper branding, or on brand is probably a more accurate description. So Master Gardener program is a sub-brand of the university, and this first point is very important. Whether you believe it or not, every Master Gardener is a public-facing part of the WSU brand. You are brand ambassadors. You volunteers, your interactions with people matter, and your reputation plays into the university's reputation, and the reputation of the university can play into the reputation of your program, your organization, and your unit. So I've done a presentation like this with students, and I've asked them, if they were art students, and it's like, how many of you follow the brand? And they're like, I'm not into it. I don't go to football games, whatever. So they're thinking very narrowly. And it's like, no, guess what? If you happen to you do something wrong this weekend, you get drunk and get injured, whatever, you will damage the brand of the university. Whether you think so or not, the blame will be pointed at the university. So be aware of that. Master Gardener materials that you create should reinforce the WSU brand. We'll talk a little bit about that. And the program priorities should mesh with extension, mission, and core values. I'm sure Jennifer and you guys all have meetings about these types of things. So I don't think there's any problem with that. So the Master Gardener internal brand, much like the broader WSU brand, your internal brand amongst yourselves and within the unit and part of extension and within counties is to promote a consistent message and identity across the state. You have a tagline that has been in use for a while, cultivating plants, people, and communities since 1973. We've got this healthy plants, healthy people graphic, and that's broken out. Seen it used quite well on the website and a number of other places. Creates a memorable impression, helps shape perceptions and set expectations. And this one's really kind of key. Let's say you have a demonstration garden in a county, and say, well, the Master Gardeners did a really great job here. And then you go to another county and you're like, hey, let's go check out their garden. And you go there and it's all weedy and fences are all torn down and needs to be painted or whatever it is. So being consistent really helps, and a negative impression lasts longer than a positive impression. So be aware of that. And then it differentiates you from the competition. Excuse me. Master Gardeners are trained educators using science and university derived information. That separates you from, a local gardening club. And that connection is what, you can use as a selling point. That's part of the brand, and it will separate you from just, groups of people who want to, plant roses or do something different. You're broader than that. You're bigger than that. So the brand elements of any brand function in two ways. The first is the tangible elements, which is everything from the language you use to the images you present to the logos. And all those things add up and create an intangible connection within the mind of the viewer. A good example here is to think of sport teams. People will be diehard Mariners fans or Cougar fans or whatever they are. Soccer fans are big examples. The tangible elements, the logos, the colors, the location, the whatever, they create a real visceral connection with people. And that's the thing that keeps people engaged with and seeking out those products. So, and once you have that, you can damage that pretty quickly. A brand toolkit is another term that'll be used. And basically what that is all the building blocks you need and the guidelines you need to present the brand properly are all stored within a toolkit. The toolkit is made up of two elements, visual elements and editorial elements. You can look at those here quickly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but one thing I'm going to say about that is the perception of the brand, what you present in the visuals and the editorial and the mission statement, and all those things have to pass the eye test. They have to work in the appearance. So again, if you say we do world-class gardening and I go to your demonstration garden and there's weeds all over and you're growing invasive species, and my perception of what you say your brand is not going to match. And that is going to be damaging to your reputation overall. All those things can be found at brand.wsu.edu for the WSU brand. My mouse is doing weird things. So just to give you an idea, I've been here 27 years. In my time, things have changed a lot. And over time, everything changes as well. Extension no longer has program level logos. We've been dealing with that and pushing out information about that since the brand revision came out. There's a revised set of brand assets that you need to use if you're doing design. We're going to focus on our web presence. And last year, I think it was, the Master Gardener did a really great job updating their website and being focused on kind of a web-first presence. We're going to enhance and expand our social media operations. I know we've also had some meetings with Master Gardeners about that. And just so that you get an idea of everything changes over time, the WSU Cougar Head logo, which everybody's familiar with, started as the Washington State College logo, where the C in the mouth was replaced. Ooh, go back. Was replaced by everything's falling apart. All right, there we go. Let's go back. All right. Whoa. So there. That's when we were updated to Washington State University. The C for Washington State College was converted to a U, and that's pretty much the way the logo has looked. It's been changed a little bit over the years, but it's kind of stayed the same. Within Extension itself, the Extension logo has changed. In 1990-ish, this was the logo for the university. We were cooperative then. In 2001, because of some things that happened between 1990 and 2001 that damaged the university's reputation, well, the university focused heavily on branding and marketing, which is when we came out with the expression world-class face-to-face. And that was an aspirational expression. And again, if you don't go towards it and you don't live that and you don't change things, then you can't become that. And after a time, that sort of faded. We didn't need it anymore. We did a logo update in 2014, changed a few other design elements as well. And then here we are in 2021 with the revised logo. Master Gardener Spirit Mark has also changed over time. And the original Master Gardener logo for probably, I don't know, about 48 hours was this. Master Gardener Tree. Sometime in the 70s, we came out with the flower that was in great 70s orange and cream colors. And then in the 80s, we started adding more text to it and using some more contemporary fonts, the yellow and green, still with the kind of a vermilion kind of red. This logo was in my tenure, and it's something I created, and all of Extension, 4-H, and everybody else had this particular kind of logo. And then we got heavily more into WSU branding and dropped a few things, again, because of some of the things that happened in between here with Extension going from its own independent organization to one under Connor. So, and then for the 50th anniversary, we just did a nice revision, cleaned up, and made the logo a little more contemporary. So it seems that the biggest confusion with any of the elements that you guys possess is between the logo and the spirit mark, and the flower is what we call the spirit mark. So I'll try and clear some of that up real quick. The primary logo is your extension logo. It's also called a signature because when you sign something, that means you're putting your stamp of approval on it. It belongs to you. The flower is a secondary logo. Extension logo should be used on all communications, whereas the flower is optional. The extension logo is for formal use, spirit mark, informal use, volunteers. Again, extension logo can be independent. The spirit mark should be used with and in conjunction with the extension logo. One is to identify the program, the other is to identify, and it seems like we're identifying the program. We're not really identifying all extension programs, but you get the idea. And the other one is mainly for volunteers. There actually is a kind of a cheat sheet for that that Debbie's put together that is available online, and I'll point to those resources at the end. So some brand examples. So if you are working creatively, doing branding work of any kind, creating collateral materials, bookmarks, flyers, posters, whatever it is, the guidelines are there to provide boundaries. They're not there to stifle your creativity. We are dealing with communication over artistic expression. It's one thing to create some beautiful painted piece, which would be great on a poster, but we need to communicate first. We want to create cousins, not twins. So everything, if I make something, I don't want you to slavishly copy it and say, this is how Gerald did it, so it must be great. I want you to have your own spin on things. Again, there's a lot of different tools in the toolbox, and I'll show you some examples of how you can use pick and choose from what's there, to your liking. Again, selective use of design elements, and you'll see people who don't do a lot with design, and they first get introduced to doing things. They'll use like 5 or 6 different fonts. So you have to be selective and make sure you're doing it professionally. Couple of examples now. Again, these are just to show you possibilities. They're not anything you should slavishly copy or say, well, Gerald did that, so I have to do it exactly like that. Again, use your flexibility, use your creativity. So when the dean came, she wanted a masthead for her web communications. So I created a variety of them for her to choose for that are all within branding guidelines. So this is just an idea of how you can pick and choose from those different assets to build out, your own various, created objects. She did choose A, just in case you're wondering. And we ended up using D as well for some other communications. So when she came as well, we needed new retractable displays that we could use at events. So I created a number of them for people to use. They're all within branding guidelines, but they're all very different, as you can see. Again, some of it boils down to, what people want, what they want to use. So for this one, we ended up using the AB side-by-side banners, the C banner, and the F banner. So sometimes, you become a victim of your own success, and you give too many options, and then people want them all. So here's an example of an update of a bookmark I did for Thurston County. This is a Master Gardener thing. This is the previous version from 2020, which was perfectly on brand for the brand at the time. Oops, dang it, this thing's being crazy today. So on the right is the revised brand, where you can see some of the new elements in there. We've used the secondary art, the Thurston County logos on the back. The Thurston County Foundation no longer has a logo of their own, so we've used the name and text. We've kind of identified them as Thurston County Master Gardeners by using the secondary flower art. Included a QR code because we're trying to push web. This was a flyer for the same county for similar for a particular event. That was the previous one from 2020, and the revised from this year. Again, with the inclusion of the new branding elements, you can see they did get rid of some information on there, but you can see overall it seems to be a cleaner, less cluttered feel, even though there's more elements on there dancing around and doing stuff. The idea is to get it clean and sharp and crisp with the newer branding. And you'll see that there is no WSU branding on there. We had a discussion with them specifically about that, and made an exception for this particular one piece. So, and this was a simple way of showing the inclusion of the Master Gardener program as part of a package of thank you postcards that we did for the Alumni and Friends Office, Alumni and Development. This one particularly would go out to WSU Extension Master Gardeners. And again, it's like, where's the main WSU logo? It's on the back side. So think of when you're doing design, think of your pieces as a whole piece. If it's two-sided, you don't stick everything on one side. You make the assumption that both sides are going to be viewed. So think of your object as a whole unit, and you can separate objects, logo here, WSU on the back. So some common things when people are designing that I've seen that you need to be aware of. And that's the first one is using a logo where there should be text. A lot of people will try and start a paragraph with a logo. Again, the logo is a signature, it goes in a prominent place, but it shows ownership and is not to be replaced with text. Don't slavishly try and copy what other people do. Get inspired by it, duplicate it, learn from it, add your own. Do not use things from the website, the internet, anywhere that you find things like, I really like this and I'm just going to try and use it. Just because it exists on the World Wide Web does not mean that it is free for use. There are a lot of free sites where you can get photos and things like that. You can purchase photos. If you're part of the WSU Creative Cloud setup, there's a iStock or Adobe Photo suite of photos that are available. If you take photos of people in public places, get photo releases. Again, especially if they're going to be used for marketing or in context where that person says, no, I don't really support that product. So you're going to get in trouble for that. Speaking for the university or program, somebody may want you to give an opinion about something or whatever. Just talk about what you know and don't say, you represent something larger than yourself. If you don't know anything about design, thinking that a template is going to fix everything is only going to lead you down a road of heartache and headache. So if you're going to engage in design work, templates are a great starting point, but they're not an end point. And making your own logo combinations, I'm very creative. I can make my own logo combination. Now, there's a reason everything is built the way it is, and the logo is called a lockup, simply for the sense that the scale of and the distance and the proportions of each object to one another are set. You can have an opinion about it, but it doesn't mean you need to change it. So if you're going to do and engage in design work, I have a little quick checklist. Make sure you use an extension or county logo or brand up. Go to WSU logo. Did you follow branding guidelines? Are you using the brand elements, the fonts, some of the language? Are you using the language within your program? Did you include the non-discrimination statement for extension materials? Did you include the program specific information, whatever kind of information that Jennifer wants you all to include on your branding? Are you talking about the different healthy people, healthy planet icons? Did you seek advice if you had questions, or did you ask for forgiveness? I'd rather that you don't ask for forgiveness, because that something that you think is innocent may end up causing a large headache. And I don't like getting these messages from Central Communications saying, why did you let them do this? Well, I had no idea they were doing it. So if you have questions, ask myself, ask Debbie, ask Jennifer, and we'll try and get you the right answer. On this, if you're unfamiliar with it and you're going to do branding stuff, on this website is a growing list of fantastic resources for you all to use. The marketing materials section has these items, all of which are sort of handy, quick reference sheets that you can use, covering all of these different branding things, and or check out the WSU brand.wsu.edu. And if you go to that page, then all these items are linked from there and you can download the PDFs. I know that was a lot, and I think we'll have a little bit of time for questions. So I will throw it back to Jennifer.
Thanks, Gerald. I hope you all found that helpful. There was a question in the chat. Alice, do you just want to ask it out loud? Are you comfortable?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Let me start video. I try to look at everything before we do it so we don't get into trouble. And we're in the process of ordering just patches for our. I wonder if I can't cancel my video or bring it on. There it goes. And we can't. Or I was reading about what you can do with the spirit mark, and it looks like you can use the spirit mark alone for individual clothing, according to that PDF. Do you see that link, Jennifer?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Did you? Okay.
The
So
answer is yes, if it's for volunteers.
Perfect. Thanks. I'm glad, because we are putting a lot of money into this.
The distinction would be if you, like, let's say you were sponsoring a gardening day and you gave out T-shirts to, kids that sign up for something. You would definitely, in that case, want to have WSU branding
For sure.
on that.
Yeah.
Internally, Spirit Mark is for volunteers. When you can, try to include both. Most of the time for swag, it's very different because you have limited space. So like a hat, an apron, things like that, you might have more space to include both. But a patch, a pin, a button, that you're not going to be able to squeeze everything in there. And if you do, you're going to violate the sizing restrictions for logo use. So again, just know who it's for, know what the end use will be.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Yep.
There's another question in the chat. Should we retire our old clothing with old branding elements?
See my shirt? This is old branding.
Yeah.
When this shirt wears out, I will get rid of it. But if I order a new shirt, it will have the new branding on it. So I think it's actually kind of, it's endearing in some ways to see. I've seen a lot of pictures during the 50 of all these people who've got like these lanyards with like 100 pins on them that they've been collecting for like 30 years. It's pretty cool. And there's some historical stuff to that. So when you place an order for new stuff, update it at that time.
Yeah, I think that speaks to the whole idea that this was a web first implementation of the new branding elements. And as you know, the physical branding elements that we have should be replaced when those become shop worn. But
unfortunately, there was a display from one of the counties when Daryl was out shooting video that harkened back to 1990. In that case, I think you've gotten your life expectancy out of that, and you need to update it.
Yeah.
It had the WSU swishy W on it. It's like you're about 3 iterations behind. So
okay.
Time to move forward.
Yeah. I saw another chat come through. Who is the person at the county program level who reviews and approves new items? It should be your program coordinator. And if your program coordinator doesn't have the answer, then he or she will ask for advice from me or Debbie or Gerald. In some counties, now I noticed that this question came from King. So with 600 volunteers, sending everything through the coordinator probably isn't a reasonable or effective means. So my thought there would be to have a few volunteers who are well versed in the branding elements, and the those people could then, you know, act as the approvers. Does that seem reasonable, Gerald?
Yeah, I mean, not everybody is going to engage with this work at a similar level.
Right.
Yeah, and there's no way, and I give this presentation in the hopes that you can sort out a lot of these things yourself. I you know, if I'm just dealing with 600 people alone in King County, that I have no time to do anything else. So yeah, again, awareness and calling attention if you see something or do something that's wrong, and get an opinion on that, and you know, I want to empower you to actually, you know, make some of these decisions independently.
Right. So Daryl just said in King County, there's a communications committee that helps to review the branding. How do we introduce ourselves? What is the appropriate title?
Like when we answer the phone in our plant clinic.
Okay. I want to hear
Branding on a branding end.
Yeah. WSU Extension, Spokane County Master Gardeners, may I help you? Is there something different than that? How do you?
No, it's just trying to retrain our master gardeners. Usually they just say Master Gardener Plant Clinic.
Oh, okay.
So we will write out cards with the whole branding.
Yeah, Jennifer's absolutely right. Identify the organization, identify the location, and identify the program.
And that goes back to what Gerald said, place. That was a little, that in your slide deck, Gerald, that's hard for me to wrap my head around. So it's focused on place and not program.
Yeah, simply because a place can deliver all kinds of programs.
Okay.
You know, as a WSU system, you know, just for like in Connors, human development, you can take classes for that in Vancouver, you can take the class for that in Tri-Cities, you can take classes for that in Pullman, you can take classes for that globally. The only place you can't is Spokane. So if we start to go to that location and then we create a human development logo for every one of those locations, and multiply that by every program that's available in every location, you're going back to having hundreds of logos versus we're all on the same team.
Mhm.
And if you deliver this program at Tri-Cities, then use Tri-Cities logo. So we're trying to, with Extension, say, here's a county, King County, for example, they deliver 4-H, they deliver Master Gardeners, they deliver, beach watchers, they deliver all these different things. And then each of those things doesn't need its own identity. They're all part of Extension.
Mhm.
Extension's part of WSU.
Right.
Eventually, all those things will creep. In 5 to 7 years, again, we'll be doing something else. So just stick around, things will change.
What can we use on our personal Facebook social media sites?
I think that's an internal
your-
question.
Yeah, so personal, like your actual, not your county program Facebook pages, or not your county foundation Facebook pages. You're asking about your personal Facebook page? Like, okay, so I think using the spirit mark there is completely acceptable. You're a volunteer representing yourself as a volunteer. What do you think, Gerald?
Yes.
Okay. You're not necessarily representing the program at that time in an official capacity.
Right. That's some of that blurred line that I was talking about, where you're representing yourself as a Master Gardener volunteer, but some people may try to extend that and become the program itself, or to try and do things. So just make sure you stay in your lane, and identify, if anybody has questions, that you are a volunteer for this program.
And I think I would also add too, I mean, if you do choose to use the spirit mark on your social media pages, people are going to connect that to the program. And so, and with what Gerald just told us earlier, we are the brand. You as an individual person represent WSU's brand. And so if you have that on your Facebook page, then it will be important for you to remember that you are representing the brand at that moment, and be responsible to the, I guess, the policies and procedures, for lack of a better term, of the Master Gardener program, to follow the research-based information.
Yeah, and to just add to that, it's one aspect of your life and your personality. And if you start to add other things to that, then people may inappropriately associate the two, not knowing that you're representing you. So whether it's what your political, spin is, whatever it is, people will start to identify, if you have a big following, but that it would be an inappropriate association. So just be aware, if you're going to use that, so just say, you can say you're proud Master Gardener, but know that any other thing that you add to that, people can construe as being associated.
Thanks, Gerald. I think that was a better way of saying what I was trying to say.
Well, it's kind of like on TV when there's a show on or something, and they say the opinions of the speaker do not represent those of this broadcast network. We can't put disclaimers everywhere, so unfortunately, people will associate those things.
So there was another chat that just came through. What about the Master Gardener Foundation logo? Gerald did this same presentation yesterday to the program coordinators, and we started a conversation around the dual branding for our events, plant sales, garden tours, that, those events that are both foundation and program. And I think we need to have some deeper conversation around that with Gerald and his team, and also with Extension Administration and our contracts office. I mean, there a lot of questions came up yesterday that I didn't really have good answers to. And so we're going to dig a little deeper on that and find the answers. But in general, I do know that when master gardeners put hours into GivePulse, publicity for whatever that event is, if it's the plant sale, so for example, or I'll use Spokane County for an example, the cabin fever, master gardener volunteers spend time and enter the time that they spend on cabin fever into GivePulse. That is a WSU Extension Spokane County approved project, and as such should be branded accordingly. That means it should have the WSU Extension logo and the foundation logo. If the foundation hosts an event that is where volunteers do not put time into GivePulse, I don't think that happens anymore. I think there was a time when it did, but I don't think there's a single county that allows that to happen anymore, or that works in that way. But if there is a foundation that hosts an event where volunteers do not enter time into GivePulse, then publicity for that event does not have to have the WSU brand elements. Does that make sense? One more, let's see what this in the chat here. Okay, great. All right. Anything else for Gerald? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Gerald, for your time. I do think we'll be wrapping back around with you on some of these other questions, and we'll get answers out as we find them. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Use me as a resource, use Debbie as a resource, use the tools online. And we'll talk again.
Great. Thank you. I also want to comment that, this year we've been working hard on brand in the Master Gardener program relative to the 50th, but then also, just really trying to reconnect or connect all volunteers to the WSU system. We represent WSU, and we serve WSU and its land grant mission. And so this year I've noticed, and all the plant sale flyers and all the educational workshops that happened through the winter, everything, most everything that I saw was really well done, had the appropriate brand elements. And if you weren't sure, you ask questions. I know Debbie was busy answering a lot of questions to make sure that we had our flyers and publicity materials ready to roll for all of our events. So thanks for that. We've made great progress there. Any good of the group? We have 5 minutes.
Jennifer, I know there was a pitch yesterday, but there might be some new people on about sharing success.
Oh yeah, pitch it, Jackie, pitch it.
Okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm just going to read it so it will flow out smoothly. Okay, everybody. Here's our pitch for the Sharing Success. 50 years and counting is the theme of this year's WSU Extension Master Gardener AEC conference. You are all invited to submit a Sharing Success display for your county, not every individual, but that would be awesome too. This can be a poster, a trifold. We're also looking at new formats like digital media. And we encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity to brag about the good work that we do for the benefit of our communities, to share ideas among other WSU Extension Master Gardener programs, and to network with other volunteers around the state. So we are having a meeting, so we would love to have you join us Tuesday, May 9th at 6 p.m. for a Sharing Success social hour, to learn more and see some examples and ask some questions. And I will put the link in the chat. The deadline for the proposals is July 30th. So we're trying to inform people and get people excited about it in plenty of time. So nobody is getting stressed out at doing it at the last minute like our county did last time. There we go.
Thanks, Jackie.
And I think that's it. Oh, for those counties that had posters, or even when we were doing it virtually, if you have presentations that were used, if you could send them to me, I'll put my email in the chat. That way we have some examples to show folks who, if they're totally new to this idea, they'll have some, get some inspiration. Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. So if you haven't been to the Advanced Education Conference, Sharing Success is kind of like a poster session at a professional conference where you get to showcase the work that you do in your local county for the local county. All right. So our next meeting, I'm out of town for conferences for May and June. So our next Staying Mission Driven meeting is not until July 27th. I will be in Kansas City for the International Master Gardener Conference. I'm hoping that some of you will be there. And then I forget why. Oh, and in May, I'm going to be up in Vancouver for a conference. So July 27 is our next meeting. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming to these sessions. What date and time of the Sharing Success? So, I think, Corey, you're asking about the social hour. So, okay. Yeah. So Tuesday, May 9th at 6 p.m. is the Sharing Success social hour. All right. Terrific, everybody. Thanks so much. We'll see you in July if I don't see you before. Have a good rest of your day.